Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to episode number 120 of Speaking from the Heart. And before you go rushing to call 911 because you need help with your situation, whether personal, professional, or your business, maybe you should take some time to listen to what I have to say. Because today's episode isn't about pulling the fire alarm when it comes to all the things that you need help with. It's about really listening to yourself, learning from others, and maybe on a part-time basis, getting a coach to help you out. Now, I'm going to really debunk the coaching industry today because I have this revolutionary concept that maybe might be helping you to figure out maybe the way to afford a coach, especially when you need the coach the most. Now, it's easy for me to be able to talk about this subject today because for many corporations that are really large in nature, they are able to hire whoever they want to hire. They might even have their best friend. They have a family member. They might even have somebody that they've been working with before. And let's face it, if you have any of those types of competition, you might as well just forget it. They've already been hired to work on their goals. That means you have no shot of being able to hire them. And that's okay. Maybe those are not the people that you should be surrounding yourself with, because if they're very selective about who they work with, maybe they're not also the best coach, which I will even say that coaches can be selective in the clients that they choose. It's their right. It's their business. I totally understand. I respect that. That's even one of my policies, that if I don't think it's a good fit for me, I don't want you spending your money with me. But what if we looked at this in a different way? In terms of the coaching industry and how it actually works. Let's face it, I've already talked about in previous episodes about the coaching industry in itself and how broken it is. And I know, I'm a coach myself, and I'm saying that it's broken. How can I even work in an industry that is broken? It's not broken in the sense that all hope is lost. It's just that we've lost our way. People that think that we need to spend $3,000 to $5,000 to be serious about something that we need to do for the next 30 days is not seeing the bigger overall picture of what coaching should be all about. It's somebody that surrounds you, that helps you on a monthly basis, maybe, to help you understand what is truly important. And my model is probably not the most successful model out there, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that I'm looking for the quick buck. It doesn't mean that every time that I have somebody going south in terms of my relationship that I'm going to get all upset. But what I do worry about is those people that need a coach and think that they need to spend $3,000 to $5,000 a pop, maybe even $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 a year to work with a coach. Those are the people that I have problems with. Because it's not just about working on the things that come up as a sour problem, or maybe even an emergency for that matter, in which your business is rapidly expanding. Even you rapidly expanding into oblivion because you can't handle all the things that are happening personally and professionally. So what do you have to do to understand that when you pull the fire alarm, that maybe it's already too late, and trying to throw money into a problem isn't going to give you the results that you're really seeking? Coaching is a long-term commitment. It doesn't mean, though, that it's long-term forever, because I always believe that coaches should have an end plan, not just a starting out plan, for their clients to see the true success that they're trying to achieve. It means that those needs are evolving, and I always work with my clients on those evolving needs because I want to make sure that they're getting the best bang for their buck. But it isn't about money. It's about me making sure that I align with their priorities, the strengths that they wish to work on, and maybe even the weaknesses that need additional help the most. When you're working on coaching, it's not working on just the things that you do in a workbook or even talk about during sessions. It's about having that connection with someone that is going to be not only authentic, but will challenge you, hold you accountable, but be there by your side to make sure that you're not falling into the cracks that sometimes appear. Let me propose something that might be helpful for you today. Even if you're doing really well and you're being absolutely successful, hire a coach. If you think that everything is going well in your life and you're thinking that things couldn't be any better, hire a coach. When you are absolutely certain that nothing could go wrong and that everything will be smooth sailing for the rest of the time that you're here on this pleasant earth, still, hire a coach. Now, you might be scratching your head, as you always do in many of my episodes, and you might be asking yourself, Josh, why would I ever hire a coach? Why would I throw money into a thing that is never a problem to begin with? Because I feel that it's so important to not waste my money like that. Why would you ask me to buy into a coaching session, or 2, or 3? Now you are poorly mistaken, my friends. That is not what I'm saying. As a matter of fact, I would argue that you should have a fractional coach that will help you to engage with all the things that you have going on to make sure that you continue to be on the right track. A fractional coach? What do you mean by that? Well, you remember the one guest that I've had, Ross Stockdale, from a long time ago. He and I had an amazing conversation about fractional marketing. The concept that is just always helping to not only give you that all-important advantage of marketing your business, but also giving you that extra support. But at the same time, they have multiple people in which they're marketing for multiple other entities as well. What if you have a fractional coach in which you invest in retainer? Those people, those individuals, those things that will help you to garner that support on a routine basis. If you start to build those relationships with a fractional coach, it might even turn into a full-time coaching arrangement for a benefit, not just for yourself, but maybe even for your business for that matter. If you think about it, having a fractional coach will allow you to routinely digest and dissect problems, or maybe even things that might be small to begin with, but can overnight turn into huge problems. I think that the fractional coaching industry has yet to be surfaced. And I think that we need to think about the way in which we advertise, we expand ourselves into thinking about the ways in which we work with people that are on a tight budget, that can't afford the services of a traditional coach, and that they're able to understand what it means to work with somebody so that they feel like they can continue to work on the skills and the abilities that are necessary. Your Speaking Voice is really starting to look at all these different possibilities as they continue to grow, and even our own offerings. And I think that's important to understand that, especially in this challenging market, having somebody that you meet with on a routine basis, maybe once a week, maybe even twice a week, depending on what you got going on, it might make a difference just to have that small relationship blossom into something bigger. And even better yet, having a contract with someone, whether it's with a month-to-month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, having those sort of services at a set rate, allow you to understand the importance of not only budgeting that into your overall plan, but knowing that you're not fully committed and have the flexibility to work on these goals that you have that allow you to understand and tailor your approach to a variety of different things. I think that we often have to think about coaching as we need to solve this big, complex problem. That's why it's so important for smaller companies, individuals, to think about having somebody on a routine basis. And when it's time to pull that fire alarm, you have somebody that already knows what's been going on, and you can now dive into the details of why it became such a big mess. And then maybe work on another fractional engagement in which you address those problems at a higher rate. This revolutionary concept, especially with the things that are happening in the world today, allow us then to think about what the ultimate benefits are. Not only the things in which we're able to work with on a personal level, the mental aspect, addressing mental illness before it's too late, and working on a plan to address it, especially with a trained therapist for that matter. But we catch ourselves into this sort of continuum of always working on ourselves, but yet being held accountable on a fractional basis to be able to make sure that we're not demotivated, that we're not de-escalating those situations before they become bigger problems. When we're able to work with something of this nature, the ramifications of them can be so big. They can help in so many different ways to the point that we're able to achieve greatness on a part-time basis. I think that we need to address the problem that we have today. Coaching is not a luxury. I will always stand by the episode in which I talked about that, and I encourage you to go back and listen to that episode. It's in my playlist. But I'm not even asking you to go and listen to that and dispel the belief that coaching is not for you. Or is it? When we say that coaching is not for you, we're essentially blocking off a whole segment of the population that isn't able to achieve anything worthwhile. And I think that's unfair, because I think we're all entitled to having a coach, to having someone that holds us, regardless of no matter what happens, into this ultimate opportunity of a lifetime. And when we hire somebody when it's way too late, of course the prices are going to be way too much. It's time to really rethink this conversation about what is really important in your life. Staying in the same 2 out of 10 ways, which sometimes most of us are in, or maybe the 10 out of 10 ways that we are operating at could be 11 out of 10, 15 out of 10, 20 out of 10, more than double the output that we're already doing. And then when we're having a bad day and all we can do is 10 out of 10, that still means that we're being really successful instead of being at that 2 out of 10. I've always said on this show that it's really important to value the relationship that we have with others. That's what I have always mentioned to even some of my guests, is that it's the connection and the ability for us to grow, not just as an individual, but to grow in the bigger picture of what we're trying to achieve. So many of my guests have been able to break that formula into an opportunity of a lifetime. But yet, for some people, struggle ultimately becomes their virtue of becoming successful in their own right. Do you need to always struggle to be able to achieve greatness? That is the question that I want to challenge you on today, especially when it comes to hiring a fractional coach. We do not have to keep pulling the fire alarm. The firemen, the firewomen, and all the emergency personnel that are coming cannot always come to save the day. There has to be a level of responsibility in which you're taking control so that those emergencies don't need a fire alarm pulled in the first place. Every time that we have to do it, we're spending oodles of money, time, and resources to try to figure out what is necessary for us to grow from that circumstance so that it never happens again. But those circumstances in which I'm referencing do not have to be the problems in which you're having a hard time communicating with someone else. You're having a hard time closing the sale. You're having a hard time finding that next job. You're having a hard time being able to be an effective public speaker. If you start to realize that you can work on these routine problems with a fractional coach, you can change the landscape of all these opportunities in which you have problems that need to be solved, but they're being solved in a routine, preventative maintenance sort of way. Think of fractional coaching as preventative maintenance. We can make sure that that machine that you're working on never breaks down. You, the most important machine of them all. When you know that you're feeling really down about yourself and you're not quite sure how to go about it in life, that's when you hire a fractional coach. When you're not quite sure, maybe this idea that you have can really come to fruition. Maybe you need to have a second set of eyes, a more qualified opinion of somebody that has the education and experience to be able to be successful. You should hire a fractional coach to do that review for you. Most importantly, above all else, if you're struggling with just figuring out the day-to-day and you see yourself slipping and slipping and slipping, before it's too late, whether you are a small business or even a large business for that matter, hire a fractional coach. I've always said that coaches come in many shapes and sizes, and that doesn't mean that I'm the perfect coach for you, and I will always stand by that. I will not be disappointed if someone does not want to work with me because we're not a good fit. I'd rather that you find someone that is of a good fit and is willing to help you achieve success. But it also means that you have to learn to say no when you have to say no, and you can work with a coach to be able to do that. But when you say yes to the yes of possibilities, you are able to understand then that coaching isn't just about the short-term, let's fix something up situation. It's allowing you to lube up all the different components of your body, mind, spirit, and soul, to achieve some of the most amazing things that you have yet to achieve in your overall existence. That can help you create power beyond comprehension. I have always wished for the longest time in my life that I could have hired a fractional coach and would have even thought of that concept. But now I want to challenge the industry and challenge people's perspectives of thinking that you have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to solve a routine problem that could have been prevented in the first place. You might think that it's about short-term engagements and that maybe, just maybe, I will give you a quick discount. But if you really want to be an investor and play the game of life, you would invest in the stock market of what I call self-development, business development, research and development. Do these concepts sound familiar? That's because throughout your life, you have been hearing about these things. Teachers, mentors, family members, all those different types of individuals have been doing those things. And when you start to realize that the fire alarm is not going to be there forever, and that some people, after a very long time of you always pulling it, are going to ignore you, then you'll start to realize that that fire alarm is not going to be your safety device much longer. You have to understand that by using and creating this value that you have inside yourself by working with a coach, you're going to be able to achieve things that are far beyond comprehension. And you're going to be able to solve problems that you never thought you could ever solve. All because you hired and invested in a fractional coach. Stop pulling the fire alarm and start pulling inside yourself the many things that have that awesome value that you get to share to the world by working with a coach. Thanks for listening to episode number 120 of Speaking from the Heart, and I look forward to hearing from your heart very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.